what's up? What's up, everybody? This is BKJ Mac from BKJ Mac Live Podcast. This is episode number 24. It just keeps getting better and better. We keep climbing every day, keep hustling. Episode 24. Today's episode 24, is about the TV series, mini-series, titled Mike, which is playing right now on Hulu. Right now, it is the unauthorized version of Mike Tyson's life story and how he grew up as a youth in Brownsville, to training to becoming the first youngest world champion in boxing history, to dealing with the life as a champion, losing the belt, and the aftermaths, going to jail, going to prison, and coming out of prison, the bite of Evander Holyfield, the life after that fight, trying to fight to struggle, to stay afloat, and then retiring, and drug use, and coming back and being Mike. Mike Tyson has gone through a lot in his life. Growing up in the 1970s in Brownsville was no tough task. If you watch the series, in the opening episode, he said there are three types of poor. There's poor, there's really poor, and, pardon my French, there's fucked up poor. So he said he and his mom were fucked up poor. They were really, really poor. His mom's used to, sell, her body in order to make money to provide for her kid, provide for Mike and the kids and stuff like that. The home was just shanty-like home. He tried everything. In that episode, basically, gives you a real introduction to the way Mike Tyson grew up, and it was so harsh. He was picked on as a kid, bullied as a kid. His school counselor had declared him retarded, when in actuality he wasn't retarded. He just wasn't getting the toolage and the knowledge from his home to practice at school, so he was well behind in his assignments. So the fact that they say he was retarded was pretty stupid in nature. But, that's how the school system runs. So they're not really doing the work to make sure, that to fix any issues that he had growing up. But he stopped going to school because he was just getting bullied a lot. He was getting robbed a lot. As a kid, and he didn't really know how to fight back. He didn't really know how to defend himself. And it was just so bad. It was just so sad. And, it was just like, how does this happen? How does this happen? And then he started collecting pigeons. All of this is mentioned in the first episode. He started collecting pigeons, and, he started taking care of the pigeons and whatnot. And the pigeons represented this escape from his reality for him. And eventually his tormentors, his bullies, got word about his pigeons, and one day one of the bullies took one of his pigeons in such a brutal act, heinous act, basically in front of Mike Tyson, ripped the head off the pigeon, and so much blood came out, and Mike Tyson was so angry and so pissed that he broke loose from the bullies that was holding him, and then he goes and lunges at the kid, and the kid that had ripped the head off the bird, and he wailed on the kid, punched the kid feverishly, just beat and punched the kid. And at that point, that's when Mike Tyson was born. The boxer at that moment was born. The rage in him was born. Society basically created Mike Tyson. The inequality, the poverty, the struggle, the lack of income inequality, the discrimination, the racism, lack of quality housing. It was those things that created Mike Tyson, the boxer, the pain. And then after that moment, he started hanging out in the streets, and he just started beating people up, young people up that would tease him. And then they would get the word was, don't mess with Tyson. Don't mess with Tyson. You know, he was going back and getting back the bullies that had tormented him, beating them up on the street, on sight. You know, in the 80s, you know, he was just like, yo, in the early 80s. And he was just like, nope, you're not messing with me. I'm back. I'm coming back. And eventually he started committing petty larceny, stealing, going into people's homes and stealing watches, bags, and whatnot. It's all detailed in that first episode, and in the second episode, which goes in depth, which is basically titled Thief. And he just kept stealing and stealing and stealing nonstop. He kept stealing. And eventually he gets arrested and is sent to a juvenile facility for boys. Hopefully they were trying to reform him, but you know, he still acted like a badass inside that place, getting into fights, hanging out with his peoples in the juvenile facility. You know, Mike Tyson was Mike Tyson. You know, he was just, his mom said that, oh, you were nothing more than a piece of shit. And he was fulfilling, I guess, that role at that moment. However, he started taking a liking to boxing. And I think he had a sparring match. I think this was episode 2. He started having a sparring match, which it was pretty entertaining, to set up. And the dude, the white boxer, basically caught him because Tyson was trying to go for a power punch, and then the white dude comes in, white boxer, hits him with a combination across the ribs and basically levels Tyson down. And he was like, how did you do that? I want to do that. And then the dude was like, no, you're not good enough. You know, you're always in trouble. I'm not going to waste my time with someone who doesn't care about right and wrong. And Tyson made a pledge at that moment to start doing the good things, studying hard, working hard. He actually made the honor roll in the juvenile facility. Now, going back to episode 1, when this guidance counselor declared him mentally retarded, how does a mentally retarded kid ends up being in the honor roll in the juvenile facility while he was studying hard? It's easy to show that guidance counselor missed it, because Tyson, who dedicated himself and trained himself mentally to become a better person, because he wanted to box so badly, you know, and he needed someone to motivate him to keep him in line. You know, that's how he got in the honor roll. And it's just like, you know, everybody, it just lets you know that everybody, no matter what their circumstances are in life, they just need someone in their corner pushing them forward, letting them know that, you know, they can do it. They can push forward, especially when they get the help that they need. And that's what he got. That's absolutely what he got, and that's how they displayed it in the episodes. It was just so interesting to see that. It was just interesting. And hold on one moment. Let me just get the episodes. I want to just get the episodes for you guys real quick. Episode guide. I want to get the episode. So as you'll see throughout episode 1 and episode 2, basically he's turning his life around from a thief into a monster. He is building himself into a monster, and that monster is the future world boxing champion. And while he was training, while he was doing good in episode 2, they brought him to Cuss, and Cuss, you know, started training him. And then eventually he built him. 14-year-old kid from Brownsville. He took him into his own house, and basically raised him as if he was his father, and basically developed him into this powerhouse of a man, of a boxer, the monster. He wanted everybody to fear Mike Tyson in the ring, and that's how it was going to be. Tyson was the monster in the ring. Eventually, in episodes 3, you will see him become a lover. Like, he would talk to so many girls. This guy, growing up, he didn't really talk to a lot of girls a lot. But as he got older, he just started engaging with different women. And then as he became more powerful in the boxing arena, because the goal was, Junior Cuss laid it out, the foundation for him. He was to do the Junior Olympics, and then after the Junior Olympics, train for the Olympics, and after the Olympics, turn pro. He did well in the Junior Olympics, but the Olympics turned him down. So Cuss was like, screw the Olympics, we're gonna go pro. So he turned pro at the age of 18. Mike Tyson turned pro at the age of 18. He knocked down his first person at the age of 14 and turned pro at the age of 18. Amazing, completely amazing. And he was going onto a path of knockouts after knockouts after knockouts, being trained by Gus how to easily knock his opponent out in the ring in quick fashion, not having to go the distance. But as he was developing his technique in the ring, he was developing his technique with the women, especially Robin Gibbons. They talk about her in detail in the Lover episode, how they met, how he courted her. Eventually, she wasn't into it at first, but eventually she fell for him, and they fell in love with each other. They got married. She brought her mother in. It was basically 3 of them, and it was just like everybody wanted this image from Mike Tyson. So it's interesting how it plays out. And then he becomes everybody's meal ticket. Everybody was relying on Mike Tyson to win fights, get the money, and everybody was dipping in his money. Everybody from Don King, everybody from the people that trained Mike Tyson. Gus's family. Because Cuss died in 1984, right before he became the world champion. So everybody was on him and trying to make sure he got money. That was like literally, he was just making money. He was just making money off Mike Tyson, because they were making Mike Tyson fight so many fights, and they were basically picking out money from Mike Tyson. It was crazy. It was real crazy. And eventually he was at the top of his game. But then there was one fight that he did not train for, that he did not take seriously, and that was the fight in Japan against Buster Douglas. But he was supposed to knock out Buster Douglas and fight Evander Holyfield to defend his title. However, Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson in 10 rounds on the technicality. And Mike Tyson, soon life started spiraling out of control. He went to Indiana, met this young woman named Desiree. He was accused, they hooked up together. She accused him of rape. He said it was consensual. The courts found him guilty of rape. He went to jail. He went to prison for a couple of years, reformed his life, became a Muslim. And he ran the jail. He ran the jail system. His commissary account was constantly filled with money. So he was able to make a decent. He was able to have a decent life in prison. He felt like he didn't need to answer to anybody in the public world. He felt comfortable inside prison. And eventually, when he got out, something happened to him. Slowly, as he was training, because he didn't want to go back into the ring right away. But Don King, the ever so loathsome manager, forced him to get back in the ring, promising him a big payday, gave him $2 million and said, you're gonna go fight. And then he was getting money again, and slowly he started becoming a cannibal. he started being extremely aggressive in the ring. And eventually, as he became aggressive in the ring, he got into the big fight with Evander Holyfield. Now, Mike Tyson was the defending champion, challenge, and then Evander Holyfield was a challenger. Evander Holyfield is known as a dirty fighter. This guy uses a lot of headbutts a lot. So Mike Tyson, never fighting Evander Holyfield, didn't realize how much headbutts this guy throws in the ring. He threw so many headbutts at Mike Tyson that Mike Tyson blacked out in the fight, and then he ended up losing by points and losing the title to Evander Holyfield. Tyson was pissed off. His eye was swollen. He had a concussion. He was just out of it. But then he decided to go. His manager, Don King, was like, okay, I'm going to schedule a rematch right away in 2 months. You're going to train for him again. Mike Tyson had his reservations about going again, but he decided he had to do it. People were relying on him. And then he figured out the only way to counteract Evander Holyfield's aggressive headbutts were to bite his ear off. And during the second fight, Evander Holyfield bit him in it. Evander Holyfield was headbutting him again, to the point Mike Tyson started bleeding in his eye, and his eye was swollen shut. It wasn't that Evander Holyfield was punching Mike Tyson in the face. He was using his head and hitting Mike Tyson in his eye with his head, which was crazy, and it infuriated Mike Tyson. And Joe Mills Lane, who was the referee of that fight, refused to take points off Evander Holyfield's card, and instead, when Mike Tyson bit the ear off Evander Holyfield for the first time, he went and took points off Mike Tyson's card. And then Mike Tyson was pissed, and he's locking him again, and Evander Holyfield's locking his arms, locking Mike Tyson. Then as he's locking Mike Tyson, he headbutts him again in the face. Imagine your face is bleeding, your eye is swollen shut, and then a person headbutts you in that same spot again. Come on, it's just ridiculous. So Mike Tyson did what he did. He was enraged, and he bit him again, and he ripped his ear off, and it was just crazy. Evander Holyfield and then the fight was called off, and Mike Tyson was disqualified. He was stripped of his boxing license, and he was suspended for a couple of months. His payment of $30 million was frozen until pending investigation. It was crazy. It wasn't right, for them to do that, to come heavy-handed on Mike Tyson, but Evander Holyfield was doing too much in that ring, and that's what they show you. But as you see throughout the rest of the series, he goes off the spiral. He gets into drugs again after a tragic event in his life, but he gets it back together, and then he restructures himself, and now he's performing and telling a story in front of a live studio audience, a one-person show, and the crowd gives him a standing ovation. And that's literally the story of Mike Tyson in the Hulu series. Now, these are the things that I found wrong in the series. I felt like the story wasn't flushed out enough. I felt like each story should have been an hour and a half or 2 hours at max, because this is Mike Tyson. I rather the slow pace action, developing into the story, into these moments. I felt that it was too rushed. The scenes was jumping too far, jumping too ahead of each other, and I didn't like the breaking of the fourth wall. I mean, I like the fact Mike Tyson was telling his story in front of a live audience, but I didn't like the fact that during the in-story mode that he was breaking the fourth wall, or the characters would break the fourth wall and look at the camera and pause from the story. It felt like I didn't like that at all. I felt like it took me away from the story, and I felt like I'm watching a dramatization. This is an intense story about the former world champion from Brooklyn. So I felt like that moment, it just took me away. Another form of criticism that I disagreed with. I felt like although they made the neighborhood so gritty, I felt like they could have really more in depth. They could have gone more in depth in it. Like, hey, what happened to his friends? What really went down with them? There could have been some emotional moments that could have played out. I felt like, again, it was just rushed. They were just jumbling it together, and I would have loved to seen the fights lasted a lot longer, as opposed to only like 2 minutes or less than a minute. I wanted to see a longer the fight. I wanted to see the round. I wanted to see what he was thinking in his mind. I wanted to see what the managers were in the ring was telling him. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the action, the intensity of those fights, because Mike Tyson is known for his fights. So I wanted to know what was in his mind as he was fighting at that moment, And I noticed there was some music that was being used from today's music was being used in the 90s. I felt like they should have kept it a period piece, because it's a period piece. So you want to keep it a true, you wanted to bring some songs back from the 90s and kept it the 90s, kept it at that moment of the 90s, instead of bringing a song by the late great Pop Smoke in there in one of the scenes. It was just, to me, I felt like it just took away from the period and try to make it feel like a 2020 story, a modern day story. So keep it. I wanted a period piece. That's what I want. I'm a film purist, and I want a period piece. That's what I want. And I felt like the years were moving too fast on the screen. They could have slowed it down just a little bit and stuff like that. It was too fast. The timeline jumps were too fast. So overall, I like the series. Although it is unauthorized, and Mike Tyson should get his money, make sure he gets paid. If you watch it, you watch it. If you don't, you don't watch it. But it's a series. But to me, I felt like there could be a better one on the horizon. There should be a better one on the horizon. And I heard that there was a Mike Tyson movie that's supposed to be made with Jamie Foxx. They need to get this movie done. I'm tired of them holding it back in developmental hell. Let's get this movie done. I want to see some real dramatization. I need to see a true biopic of Mike Tyson's life on film. Definitely. Because honestly, this man is so famous, is so well known as the beast in the ring, the baddest man on the planet. And I haven't really seen that. I've seen a little bit of it in the TV series. I got a glimpse of it in the TV series, and how he dealt in the ring and how he dealt with women. But I haven't really captured that essence of Mike Tyson that make you feel so emotionally like attached to the world's baddest man in the ring. And I want this Jamie Foxx movie to be out, or a new TV series where it gets Mike Tyson's blessing. And I know Hulu, Mike Tyson's definitely not working with Hulu. He's probably going to work with Netflix, because I guess Netflix, they respect the artists, like what they did with Dave Chappelle. They took down the Chappelle Show until they worked out a deal that was favorable to Dave Chappelle, and that's why Dave Chappelle threw a shout out to Netflix saying, "Yo, Netflix, thank you for having my back. I appreciate y'all so much." So I think Mike Tyson might follow suit and probably do something with Netflix in order to do a different dramatization of Mike Tyson and whatnot for TV. But for the movies, let's get Jamie Foxx, get it done. Get it done. So this was a review on Mike on Hulu. Look at it if you want to. If you don't, it's perfectly understandable. If I had to give it a star out of 5, I would give it a 2.5. 2.5. The reason I say 2.5 is because the other half could have been done really well. This story could have been really pivotal. It could have been really emotional. It could have really grabbed you in a way that would have made you cry. But I give it to the actors that did their thing, that brought the story to life, because at least they got it done. People talk about getting stuff done and don't ever get it done. They got it done. So from that point, it's a 2.5, and the story is there, the elements in there. There's a source material that's now there, that's now in existence. So now they just need to take from that starting point and build something great off of it. And I think they will be able to. But a new Mike Tyson TV series probably on Netflix. So 2 out of 2.5. Thank you for listening to this review of